Welcome to another episode of the Pit Press Live, not the Pit Press Podcast. My name is Ryan Tamori. We've got plenty to get to tonight. Not today anymore, tonight. I was trying to combine two words there. We thought we were going to have a full house tonight. No Danny Tanner, no Uncle Jesse, no Ed Nunez. He could not join us. Nick Nunez cannot join us. Eric Moulton just had a kid. So, again, he is not joining us tonight. Jacob Neff was going to join us, and we were going to talk men's basketball transfer, like landing spots and who went where, and he was going to break it down. He recently had surgery, and I don't think he's up to it tonight. I'm not going to bug him, so he is not joining us. These guys might hop on live. I'm not sure yet. So if they do grace us with their presence, hopefully it might make it even a better show. We'll try to have a good show for you. I think Rick and I are capable of doing that. Hey, comment on I'm going to start with this at El Lobo Loco because I like your name. We were going to talk transfer portal big time tonight. We might delve into a little bit. I wanted Jacob Neff. You can follow him at NM Sports Capper to join us because he's like a walking expletive encyclopedia when it comes to this stuff. But again, he just had surgery. He's not feeling the best. So maybe we've been postponing this.
But we're always willing to take any Lobo questions. I don't think we really had anything Lobo related. We have lots of Mountain West stuff if we need to delve into it. But any questions are always welcomed, and we'll give it our best analysis.
Yeah, no, I was going on a ramble there. Just feel free to chime in on the conversation on X on Twitter. A lot to get to today. Lobo baseball in the Mountain West Conference tournament. They had they had some all conference honors. Bronco Mendenhall is officially the head football coach of the University of New Mexico, according to Sean Ryder of the Journal. Manny, we normally don't talk AAA baseball or any other sports on this particular show. But I did want to mention that Manny Ramirez will be back in town. Outdoor championships, NCAA. So a lot to get to, but I got to introduce my co-host for the night, and his name is Mr. Richard Thompson. He's a two-time I did it ass backwards. He's a two-time All-State offensive lineman for San Juan Mendoza and the St. Pius Sardines. He played basketball for Damian Segura, and he was the MVP of a 35 and older men's Filipino league in the Bay Area. I think that's the biggest accomplishment of his life. It's better than when Troy Aikman said eating at Wingstop was better than having kids. I think in that commercial, I think that's your greatest achievement than getting married and your child. His name is Richard Thompson. Rick, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Ryan, thanks for having me back. Coming out of watching probably my first Lobo baseball game ever after attending the school for probably over 6.5 years. I never attended as a student and have never watched in person or online, but today was the day, and we'll get into that. So happy to be here and talk all things Lobos and college sports.
Yes, sir. We're live on Twitter. We're live on YouTube. Check us out. Eric usually sets it up on Instagram. I don't know how the hell that works, but
MySpace,
InstaFace, Vine. We're live on all those. You know what? We're going to start with the Lobo baseball team, and then we'll get to some comments. Again, we'll delve into some Lobo basketball. That's a hot topic. Even on May 23rd in the middle of summer. We're 6 months away. That UNM education's working real well. June, July, August, September, October, 5 months away, 6 months away from the start of the 2024-25 season. Jake Holland to baseball. Sammy Sosa plays baseball. Let me pull that up. I'll start with that. I won't start with that. Jake Holland, I didn't make a banner for that, Rick, my bad. Jake Holland named Mountain West Co-Player of the Year and 4 other Lobos. I said hobos there. Lobos earned all Mountain West nods. That was not intentional. That was an accident. Jake Holland was named Mountain West Co-Player of the Year. He's the first Lobo player to earn Conference Player of the Year honors since Jake Zellner in 2017 and the 8th in program history. To lead 4 New Mexico players that earned all Mountain West Conference honors, the league announced yesterday, ahead of their taking the number 2 seed in the Mountain West Conference tournament. Along with Holland, Reed Spineth, first team, Will Ashby, that's definitely a baseball name, first team, and Khalil Walker, second team, all earned all conference nods. Spenrath, excuse me. That's a baseball name too. Reed Spenrath. Spenrath's first team selection in his second in as many seasons, making him the first Lobo to earn back-to-back first team honors since Jared Mang did it in 2017, 2018. These are the most Mountain West selections since 2017, when 5 Lobos were named all Mountain West first second team. I always mention it on here how much I loved covering Ray Birmingham during my days at the Daily Lobo. He was awesome. Those were good teams. They made the NCAA tournament. So congratulations to Jay Collin, Reed Spenrath. Fantastic. Both first team. Will Ashby, first team. Reed Spenrath, second in conference in triples. Jay Collin, second best batting average in the conference, batting .385. And Khalil Walker, second team all Mountain West. So congratulations to them. But in terrible news, the Lobos were down in the Mountain West tournament opener to San Jose State today. Earlier, game ended, I don't know, 3 hours ago. It started at 3:30. They did hit 3 home runs and held finding positive in the loss. They lost 8-5. They did shut out San Jose State in the last 3 frames. They will play the loser of number 1 Air Force and number 4 Fresno State, which is going on today. So, Richard, I throw that to you because I watch Major League Baseball all day on a daily basis. What did you think of the first college baseball game and first Lobo game that you streamed today?
Well, I forgot how much action there is in college baseball, it seems like, opposed to the major game, and how much faster the ball flies off the metal bats. I actually enjoyed it much more. And watching Jake Holland hit that home run, his 17th of the year, in the 3rd inning, I believe, that thing was just a moonshot. And I can understand why he was the co-MVP of the conference. If that ball would have been in Albuquerque, it probably would have, if they were in Isotopes Park, it probably would have flown over that playground structure in outfield. That's how far this guy's nailed one today. But what it really came down to was pitching, and a reliever came in for San Jose State. It was actually a local kid here from Santa Clara by the last name Gutierrez. And he pitched the rest of the game, I think 4 or 5 scoreless innings, and it was the most pitches he's thrown all year. And the Lobos couldn't really get any hits off of him until I believe it was the 9th inning. They got 1 more home run. And, San Jose State, they just never stopped hitting the ball the final few innings, and the Lobos couldn't keep pace because of the great relief pitching there of Gutierrez. But very exciting game. I look forward actually to watching more college baseball now that the end is coming down, and hopefully the Lobos can win tomorrow. They'll play the loser of Air Force and Fresno State, which is currently going on right now. We can check on the score while we're talking about it. So hopefully tomorrow they can get some pitching, because the announcers just kept applauding the Lobos offense the whole day and saying that they're just loaded up and down the lineup. So hopefully they can pull it off tomorrow and stay alive. But I enjoyed it today. What were your thoughts?
No, college baseball is a lot of fun to watch. I normally watch the tournament, and if you're not familiar with it, I don't know how many years it's been like this, and I'm not coming across here saying I'm a baseball aficionado, college baseball aficionado. The NCAA tournament is set up like it's a round robin or a double elimination. The first round, I might have mentioned it, that there's 64 teams, and it's treated like the NCAA tournament. The top 2 teams in each regional advance to a super regional. Then you go to you head to Omaha. So it is cool. I don't know. I watch a lot now. I paid a little bit of attention to see what was going on early when it started. If I was a gambling man, which I am. I mean, we've talked a little bit about Lobo baseball during the year. We've hit on what they've done. They're a phenomenal offensive team. They're a lot of fun to watch. When they were down 4-0 in the bottom of the second, and they made it a 4-3 game. Then it was a 5-3 game. Then it was a 5-4 game. And eventually San Jose State did pull away in the middle innings. But it's a lot of fun to watch, and I'm going to pay attention more tomorrow. I had the game on in the background, and then I started to watch the Celtics and the Pacers. Um, but or was getting ready to watch the Celtics and the Pacers. I guess it wasn't on, but no. Again, I've had much respect for UNM baseball, and again, it was the best thing. It was one of the funnest things I covered when I was there, and being a big baseball fan, looking forward to it. I think I don't know. Maybe depending on what happens, if they can come back and win this thing, we might do something special over the weekend. But right now, yeah, again, it's a double elimination, and they'll face the loser of Fresno State and Air Force.
And Air Force is currently up 3-1. I think it's the 5th inning, so possibly looks like San Diego State for the Lobos tomorrow at this point in time.
Fresno State, yeah.
Or Fresno State, sorry.
No, it's all good. I saw Tony Gwynn hit a walk-off home run when I was a kid, so it's very cool to see. Baseball's got a rich tradition there at San Diego State, so for it to be Tony Gwynn Field, Tony Gwynn Stadium, I don't know, it's really awesome. I'm gonna go to the comments.
Wait, one last thing about your man Tony Gwynn. Didn't he also play college basketball?
He did, and he's like second or third all-time assists.
That is remarkable to me, and I always forget that because of his build and stature. To think of him playing college basketball, we need to see some footage of that.
Yeah, he got a little bit chunkier as he started playing. Then he liked his chewing tobacco, and that ultimately was his demise, which is really sad. Tony Gwynn Jr. played in the Dodgers organization, so he was here a lot. But yeah, he was. I don't know the stats specifically, but he had more career. He only had 400 career strikeouts. I think I don't know, the number's phenomenal during his career. And I don't know it off the top of my head, but I think he had more. I don't know the stat off my head, but he didn't have a lot of strikeouts, and there's something phenomenal about his career where he had more something other than strikeouts. And I'm going to have to look it up when you're talking, Rick. But again, UNM baseball will play either looks like Fresno State tomorrow. They're losing to the number 1 seed Air Force. Did you see that picture of Air Force when they were in the aircraft, flying back from one of their games earlier in the year? It was an awesome picture.
No, but I did see San Jose State's uniforms, and they look like something we would get at Petroglyph Little League. They were terrible. They just look like nothing. It was something that looked years old, but not like the cool kind of retro, just like they found it in a closet and said, "Here you go, boys."
It looked like it was purchased at Goodwill. Yeah, I thought the same thing. I'm glad you brought it up, because I was looking at the uniforms and I thought, well, they're the thing that crossed my mind was like all the colleges in California. You think of like USC, UCLA, Cal Berkeley, Stanford, probably the big four. I think you could probably throw San Diego State in there. And I was looking at San Jose State's uniforms, and I'm like, they've had some decent basketball. Well, they've had some decent football seasons. Obviously, basketball and what Tim Miles is trying to do there. But I think that's really funny you brought that up, Rick, because I looked at them and I was like, I wore that at West Mesa Little League like 20, 30 years ago. I wonder, I guess we're going to be on uniform watch for San Jose State tomorrow. So I do want to go to the comments because I wouldn't be able to answer these questions in regards to just college baseball in general. Are there lots of transfers in baseball? If so, how do Lobos fare that? First off, I can't answer the second part. I don't know. We had a gentleman on the name of last year. His name's like Nelly Jr. Joseph. It was like Lenny Jr. Ashby. He transferred to Kansas. I think baseball is kind of the same thing. I can't imagine what it's like in the South or the SEC, because baseball is king there too. I mean, all sports are king. Albuquerque fan can't grasp this because fans show up for gymnastics there. And I always kind of rip on the Lobo fans when the basketball team was good, because it's like they didn't sell out the pit. But I don't know the answer to that. I do know someone who might be able to answer that. I don't know if and when he can join us. His name is Chris Jackson. Covered minor league baseball for a lot of years. Was a phenomenal baseball writer. His knowledge is good. Jacob is very knowledgeable about prospects that are in farm systems now. So we dearly miss him tonight. Ronnie Chavez, Coach Brown, said on the radio that their best offense is getting to their righties and their bullpen. More walks than strikeouts. That would be key. So kudos to, at least UNM playing in there, and we're talking about him this late into the season. So that's exciting. And I didn't get to put up my banner. I forgot, Rick, but not the finest day in America City. UNM baseball team loses an opening round of Mountain West tournament. I'm very proud of some of those I write, even though they're corny as hell. Another thing we wanted to get into, and I didn't. Oh, I did write a banner for it. And I know we're going to switch gears quickly to from baseball to Lobo football. And I got to do it.
Broncos country, let's rock.
Okay, that was way too loud. Bronco Mendenhall. Let's see if it's still going.
Country. Let's ride.
Hey, let's ride. Bronco Mendenhall, according to Sean Ryder of the Albuquerque Journal, he tweeted this out. Where did it go? 11:02 a.m. Sean Ryder of the Albuquerque Journal. I much respect for Sean. As a young journalist there, it's not easy. Story to come, but Bronco Mendenhall has signed his contract per UNM AD Eddie Nunez. Mendenhall spent his spring at UNM operating off a memorandum of understanding signed in December. So I think that's a lot of music to a lot of people's ears. We talked about that. As I always say, I think the football program is its own worst enemy between telling fans they can't take photos at a spring game for a team that is expected in Vegas has been given a win total of a game and a half. I didn't realize they were preparing for Georgia in the college football playoff. That's my knock. But between that and then Jeff Grammer in his Richard Pitino contract extension story, nestled in there that Bronco Mendenhall hadn't signed a contract yet, and that it was the MOU. We don't have Nick Nunez on tonight. He's a lawyer. He would have been fantastic to have tonight. But it's very odd to me. It took him since December until maybe May 22nd or May 23rd to sign this contract. I understand they're working kinks out, but to me, for somebody who has seen this program completely destroy itself, well, the program didn't completely destroy itself. I saw it be destroyed. And it was quite sad for what Rocky built, but I just thought it was very odd. I don't think it was that great of a look. You have all these looming questions and all this secrecy. I don't know why there's secrecy when you want butts in those stands, and it's not that big of a stadium compared to a lot of other stadiums around the country. But I just thought it was very good. But if you are a Lobo football fan and you hear that, and you will probably see that story either in tomorrow's Journal or Saturday's Journal. I looked and I didn't see it. But Rick, I'm going to go to you. Your thoughts? I mean, at least he signed it sounds like he signed the contract.
Yeah, at least we know now that it's a done deal, and there's not a question of why it wasn't done. I'm assuming it was maybe just having to do with maybe a pay structure or something. Maybe the contract was paying more than what he made during the spring period. But from what I've seen, there have been transfers still trickling in. The latest ones was a commitment, Lawan Owens, a former Tulane O-lineman, a 3-star recruit out of high school. And that definitely, I think, will help an O-line that's still going to find its way, doesn't know who the starters are going to be and are still gelling. This young man from Tulane sounds like he could be a piece. Also, another signing was Nico Bowler, a linebacker, a JUCO product out of Diablo Valley College. 52 tackles last year, 5 sacks, and 10 games. So this is a guy with some experience, even though it's at a JUCO level. So I see names trickling in, and we've been bringing them up. So we can just be hopeful, I guess, as fans. But as someone like yourself, and an analyst really thinking it over, it's just kind of weird that the fans haven't had as much access or media coverage of the team thus far into Broncos tenure, when I would think that they would want more coverage, even though they're not the best team, to try to get fans back in the stadium. I think there's going to be a new energy, hopefully with the new coach, but that doesn't mean there'll be wins this year, and that's going to be the hard thing. When you don't win, no one's going to come to the games.
I try to keep our friends out of this, but I think of our friend Steven Pena, who has also a master's degree from UNM and an undergraduate, and he called and left me a voicemail during the New Mexico State game that I won't play on here, even though we curse. And his main thing is just beat New Mexico State. He was very boisterous, as much as I really appreciated Danny Gonzalez with what his access to us and trying to promote the program. And I think there's kind of, this is a hunch that maybe Danny Gonzalez saw the writing on the wall halfway through the season. I also don't think it was fair to him that he didn't get, this year on his contract, but I'm not Eddie Nunez. I'm not an athletic director. I would do dollar beer night to get people in the stands. I think the one thing that they have to do with that ramble was they have to beat New Mexico State, and I think a lot of things will be forgiven. I'm just still kind of flabbergasted that Danny Gonzalez lost back-to-back games by double digits to New Mexico State. And as I have said, or as we have mentioned the schedule, you open up against Montana State, who has had a lot of success at the FCS level. You then go to Arizona. I think you get a bye. Then you go to Auburn. Then you get New Mexico State. Then you get Fresno at home. And I mean, it just, that schedule to me, and then they get Washington State at home at the end of the year. I don't know where you find 2 to 3 wins other than maybe Montana State, New Mexico State. And I still think, I believe the head coach down there, his name's Tony Sanchez. I think that that's a coin flip game. As I do that stupid gesture, I think it's a coin flip game. But again, I am somebody from Missouri, and you have to show me. And I've said it 1,000 times, and I'm not trying to repeat myself, but I understand that Bronco Mendenhall is a proven winner. He has not won here yet. I would like to see things turn around because it benefits us here too. I've never thought about it that way, especially when I was at the Daily Lobo. I could have given 2 shits if UNM football won by 70 or lost by 70. I was there to cover a game and do a job. I don't know, Rick, you were in marketing. And I don't want, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I can't imagine and promotions, but I can't imagine being like what you see, like nobody in the stands at the football game. I don't know how you did that job, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth or anything, but it seems like it would be pretty tough to do.
When I worked in the athletic department for Learfield Sports, the contracted company that handles all the sponsorship deals with the big sponsors like Route 66, Albertsons, and those types. I also spent time with people in the ticketing office and went through the training actually on what they're telling their ticket salespeople to try to resell season tickets. And it's, as you can imagine, very difficult. Lots of cold calling by these people and trying to retain people on the football side. You can imagine with dwindling wins and up and down type of performances, is just very hard for football, so they really have their work cut out for them. But I think having a win early against Montana State would definitely help. Having some good promotions from the marketing department. I mean, the social media team is putting out some decent clips from New Mexico football, but I'd like to see maybe some longer interviews so we can learn about some of the players rather than a 1-minute story, during the off season here, so the fans can start to know who's on the team. I think even us, outside of maybe 5 to 10 guys, we don't know this roster very well yet, just because of the nature of college sports right now. But the marketing people definitely even have their job cut out for them. If there's not people in the seats, it's hard to sell sponsorship, right? And get things going and get the energy in the stadium there. So it all ties together.
No, it does all tie together. I think I had a conversation with somebody, and I mentioned prior to last season, I guess you can add what they won 4 games. Well, I wouldn't. So in the last 11 years, they had won 40 games in 10 years, 11 years. And when you think about that, um, you had the 9-win season in 2016, and then I think what Bob Davy did in 2015. And I think the Bob Davy years are kind of, it's Bob Davy, but Bob Davies. Yes. See, dollar beer night would help. I think that would be fantastic. Just buy like kegs of Keystone Light and just sell for $1. I thought that was funny. Yeah, but when you've had 11 wins, and I know COVID didn't help, they weren't here for a year, and I mean that that's probably within a program killer. But you've had 40 wins in 11 years, and you think about, and I'm not comparing them to Alabama or the big time schools, but Georgia eclipsed that, a quarter of that in like a year. They won what, 14, 15 games? Like I know it's comparing apples to oranges, but it's just, I don't know. It's so painful. And I'm,
Well, just for once, we would like to go through a full UNM football season without seeing them on ESPN's bottom 10 list.
yeah,
But
I used
that's
to,
where they've been found more often than not.
I remember, when my time at the Daily Lobo during the Loxley years, the 2 Loxley years. And that was like the best part of my week to see where New Mexico State and UNM would be in the bottom 10 on ESPN. Um, and I'm not trying to change points, but going off to that Tulane transfer, I don't know how long he's been there, but look at the success Tulane has had. They've been, man, I can't think of the coach that left. His name. He used to go on Jim Rome. I loved listening to him. He was awesome, and he changed the culture around there quickly. But I don't care if USC, shit the bed. They won a Cotton Bowl, and they're in Tulane. I mean, I know they're an old SEC member, but that's a mid-major program, and look what they have done. There is a possibility, I think, for UNM to eclipse that. There is that thought that they could do that. Obviously, the past isn't really that, gives you, I don't know, it doesn't like give you hope for the future. But I want to hit on some of the comments on Lobo football. We're going to Ronnie Chavez again. It's crazy that the big house in Michigan is barely allowing beer sales this upcoming season. Are there other big schools that don't serve beer? Yeah. I went to an Elite Eight game at Madison Square Garden, and it was an NCAA sanctioned event, and there was no alcohol there. And J-Rod 17, Bob Davy is a forgotten winner for the Lobos. Yeah, I totally agree with that. And it's kind of, I guess in a weird way, it's sad. I want to hit a commercial break, and you know what? I got to go back to Lobo baseball really quick. I forgot about the 25th Mountain West all Mountain West 25th anniversary team. So we will take a quick commercial break. I'll catch my breath. Rick will catch his breath, and we'll be right back. This is the Pit Press Live.
Let him cook. Let him cook now. Let him cook. I said let him cook.
My name is Ryan Tamori. I'm joined by Richard Thompson. We are Richard, like what, a fraction of the guys that normally join us. But we're happy to be here. We're happy to talk to you. We're going to take some more comments tonight. Then we're going to talk. We got, I don't know if you heard the big news about the NCAA and Power 5 conferences agreeing to a deal that would let schools play pairs, and then they're paying them like in arrears, I guess. Over that, it's like, I don't know, $2 billion. I forgot to mention this, Rick, and thanks for putting this together. 6 Lobos were named in the Mountain West Baseball 20th anniversary team. Mitch Garver, who was a member of the defending Texas Rangers, defending Texas Rangers, Walker Texas Ranger, defending World Series champion Texas Ranger. He's now a designated hitter for the Seattle Mariners. He's made a stellar career in Major League Baseball. He's a crafty veteran. Mariners paid him, I think, two-year contract, like 40 or 50 million. Jacob is a Mariners fan. He would have known that off the top of his head. But when you hear these names, Mitch Garver, Daniel Ray Herrera, Mitch Garver was La Cueva. I think Jordan Pacheco was La Cueva. DJ Peterson is in the minor leagues. I think made it to the Major League Baseball. Somebody that I had the pleasure of covering, Rafael Neda, was a catcher from Mexico. He had a very fascinating story. He made it, and he was a damn good catcher and a really good hitting catcher. They were named to the Mountain West 25th season team. The league announced Wednesday they did it for football. They did it for baseball. Obviously, they did it for basketball, men's and women's. We did talk about it as a celebration of the Mountain West 25th season of excellence on and off the field of play. The conference recognizing a 25th season team during each Mountain West championship during this past academic year. Entering the 25th Mountain West Baseball Championship, 10 different institutions have claimed regular season titles, and 8 different institutions have celebrated conference championship crowns. And UNM has 3. San Diego State has 6. UNLV has 3 that have won multiple Mountain West Conference championships. Steven Strasburg, I think, is probably one of the biggest names on that list. He recently retired.
Was Judge at Fresno State?
He was there when they were in the WAC.
Got it.
No, he was on the team. So he was in the Mountain West. Yeah, he was on the team. I think I was there when they played Fresno State, because this big guy walked up and I was like, who the hell is this? I went to a game. It was like one of the last times I went to a game. It was like 10, 11 years now. And he sucked at the beginning of the year. And he has turned it around in like the last 25, 30 games. He's got like 10 home runs, 10 doubles. I don't know. I saw some crazy stat. But yeah, Aaron Judge was on that team. So I lied, but Steven Strasburg was on that list, and then Aaron Judge. So you've got 2 big names. That's pretty cool. And again, you got, like I said, Mitch Garver. Jordan Pacheco is kind of a local hero here. So I don't know. I thought it was really cool that the Mountain West Conference did that. We talked about the 25th anniversary teams for football and men and women's basketball. Dontrell Moore for football. Brian Urlacher was on it. Kendall Williams. I'm trying to think who was on the men's team. Danny Granger and Kendall Williams, I believe, made it. Obviously, Kawhi Leonard. I think Larry Nance Jr. I don't know. I thought it was cool that the Mountain West did that. I didn't realize that they were going to be doing that. I thought that would have been mentioned probably at the conference football media days. But Rick, I know you are not the biggest baseball fan, but it's pretty cool to have 6 Lobos on that team.
Yeah, and there probably could have been a few more, including the son of the gentleman we had on the other night, Mr. Gracie, with his son, Scott Gracie, going on to be drafted by the Toronto Blue Jays after playing at La Cueva in New Mexico, and had obviously a great college career if you are getting picked to the majors. So really cool to see these guys recognized. They did one for golf a couple of weeks ago also. So yeah, I like they're doing this. It reminds me of how the NBA does their 50th, and then they did the 75th anniversary team, which had some really terrible picks. But so far, I like what the Mountain West has done with this. And I don't know what sports are left. I think they probably covered the bigger ones, but it was cool that they did it.
Yeah, no, I meant to mention that earlier, so I'm sorry about that. I do want to talk about the big story coming out of college sports and the settlements that have been announced. Dan Murphy and Pete Thamel of ESPN reporting that. I did have some questions thrown our way. I'll start with football, and then there were some on UNM men's basketball. Again, we wanted to break down a lot of the transfers that have come into the conference. Rick spent a lot of time on it. We wanted Jacob Neff because his knowledge is just.
And we only have 5 months to cover it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we have to do it. I guess today we've been just trying to do it for 3 weeks, but we could probably do that at any time. I'm going to go to J-Rod 17 here. I have a question about Locksley when he was at UNM. You said you would swear he never coached a peewee game of football, and then a couple years later he was out Alabama. I will answer that question. He took over the head coaching job right after Rocky Long was fired. Rocky Long did not resign. Paul Krebs pushed Rocky out. He was fired. That was the story at the time. Locksley was at Illinois under Ron Zook. And in 2008, Ohio State got back to the BCS National Championship and lost to LSU and Les Miles. Locksley was a highly touted offensive mind and an offensive coordinator and was known as a fantastic recruiter. And that 2008 Illinois team, I believe, I got to double check it, lost to USC. And the quarterback, I believe, was John David Booty for USC. But Locksley was 2009 Rose Bowl. Let's see. I believe that was the year, unless I'm losing my marbles. So it would have been, so that would have been for the 2008 season. So for the January. See, when was it played? January 1st, 2008. Okay. So the year before, I got it wrong, and I'm sorry. So the 2007 Illinois Fighting Illini by default went 9-3 and somehow found their way into the Rose Bowl. Mike Locksley was the offensive coordinator for Ron Zook that year, and I think he had a really good year in 2008. He had a quarterback named Juice Williams. Juice Williams was fantastic. Yeah, Rick, you know who I'm talking about. And Rashard Mendenhall. Rashard Mendenhall played for the Steelers, won a Super Bowl, and then also lost the Super Bowl for the Steelers like a couple of years later. But Locksley was highly touted as an offensive mind, and he was touted as this phenomenal recruiter who could woo anybody to come here. The idea was to get, because he's a Washington, D.C. guy from outside somewhere in Maryland. That's why I ended up at the University of Maryland. That he was going to be this pipeline for a ton of recruits from that area in Virginia, Maryland, and some other East Coast places to come here, like find diamonds in the rough and turn this program around. And I don't know how many people are listening remember Mike Locksley's famous comment about putting a third digit on the scoreboard, which is like one of your all-time worst backfires, or should be on freezing cold takes. He ended up at Alabama because he still had ties within college football, and he was able to help recruit to Alabama, and it was the Nick Saban rehabilitation program. Don't forget Steve Sarkisian went there. A lot of great minds still went to Alabama and helped out. But that's why Mike Locksley ended up there. And because of his job and the Nick Saban backing and the other big names there that backed him is why he found himself at Maryland. Maryland has not, I think Ralph Friedgen, Maryland has been terrible for football. I know somebody who was a big Maryland Terrapin fan, a connection at CBS Sports in Manhattan. He's a national hockey writer there. They will take winning 3 bowl games in a row at Maryland, which what Locksley has done and got an extension. They will take that all the time because Maryland's a basketball school. So for them to go 8-4, 7-5 in the Big Ten, get to a bowl game, win the Pinstripe Bowl, win the Music City Bowl, they will take that. Rick, I'm sorry for that long ramble. I hope that was quick and it explained everything. J-Rod, thanks for the question. But that's why. Rick, I talked about my meet up with Loxley and my 5 minute, I don't even say 50 minutes of fame, my 5 minutes of fame. We've talked a little bit more Mike Loxley recently, and it's probably my own doing for bringing him up. But again, we're UNM alum. We were there during it. J Rod 17. Hey, I really appreciate it. Yeah, no problem. I was there for that. I should bring on Isaac Avalusea to talk about our Loxley days covering him. It was, and then you had Alfred across the street, man. It was night and expletive day. But Rick, as a Lobo student at the time and somebody who played football, I just wanted your quick thoughts. I know you've mentioned it, but maybe
I was also on the field actually doing my promotional stuff, watching Stump Godfrey and other players of the era do
that's a name I haven't heard in
interesting things.
forever.
But no, so after Loxley got cut at UNM, he went back to Maryland as I think an OC and assistant for a couple of years before he got picked up by Alabama's. And as we've seen, most coaching jobs are just kind of who you know, and even if you do something terrible after a couple of years, you can kind of redeem yourself if you work hard. I mean, even look at what's that crazy guy, Tommy Tuberville, and I wouldn't be surprised if we even see John Gruden coaching again someday. So all these guys get second chances, and it seems like he made the most of it here. As hard as it is for me to believe also that he got a second chance after the things he did at New Mexico.
There were a lot of off the field stuff that I won't delve into because it's allegedly. I mean, I used to hear stories all the time about where Loxley was, imbibe, that he was there all the time. I ran into Loxley drinking alone at Kelly's Liquor, not Kelly's Liquor, Kelly's Brewery, which, what is the Matucci's now? I love that place. When he was just hired, I walked in and he was drinking a pitcher of beer by himself. And look, I'm no saint. And I've talked about, how I was like a fall down drunk at one point, but I thought as a Division I coach, and I was in college at the paper, sitting alone at a bar probably isn't like a good look. Just tons of off the field stuff. John Romero, Ryan, amazing your recollections of names associated with specific years. That's why I have a history degree and a print journalism degree. I wanted to become a sports historian. I wish Jacob was here because what the shit he knows today is perfect. And Rick, you are an encyclopedia of sports info. Thank you guys. I'm going to say thank you guys as always. I don't say it enough, Rick. I appreciate you, especially because you played. You guys know the X's and O's, so that really helps me out because I don't know any of that. But I can say and trying to find content for tonight. I am very excited for college football 25, NCAA college football 25 to come out. We plan on simulating every single game. I don't know how we're going to do it. Maybe I can buy NCAA football as a business expense, but I don't know. I don't know if that'll work.
Just one really quick thing that I heard about the video game NCAA football, and I think why they're bringing it back this year is also having to do with the new playoff format, and they're hoping people playing this game are going to, get used to the new format of the game of having the new playoff system and the more teams. So when the time comes around, in real life, in reality, it's not such a huge shock to the college football mind after you've been playing it on your game for a couple months. I think that's part of the reason we also got the game back this year. So just looking forward to it. And yeah, we'll do some fun things with it for this show.
I keep forgetting that for somebody who's a big college football fan, I was really excited when the college football playoff came to be. And now that it's expanded and maybe you can get a Mountain West team in like a Boise State or a Fresno State or UNM at some point, at least giving them a shot, much like the NCAA men's basketball tournament. I have said, and I don't want this to be a hot take, I understand the NFL is king. It always will be forever and ever. Amen. I just feel like people that you went to that school, you went to Georgia, you went to Penn State, you went to Michigan, you went to USC, you went to UW. Or your family went to the birthplace of college football, which is Rutgers. I think that if I have said that, and it's just my opinion, with the college football playoff expanding, I think because there are so many ties to it, I think that it might become a bigger event. I know it's going to be hard when you're having playoff games on Thursday nights. But I just think, man, if you expand it even to 16 teams or 20, I don't know. I don't know really wanted to expand. I think 12 is probably good, maybe 16. And you get 4 teams with a bye. I think it would be a really huge, ordeal. I think it's really hard to sell the sport when Georgia beats TCU 65-7. But hey, that's just me. We had some basketball questions thrown at us. I want to take another quick break because we didn't really honor our sponsors that much on Tuesday night talking to Bill Gracie. He was phenomenal. You can go find that episode on our YouTube channel. He's a former ref, and his son played baseball at UNM and at La Cueva and was in goodness, I forgot his first name. Was it Scott Gracie?
Yes.
Scott Gracie, yeah. We're going to effort him to see if we can't get him on the show. But we want to just take a quick commercial break. We'll be back. My name's Ryan Tamori. I'm joined by Rick Thompson. This is the Pit Press Live.
Let him cook. Let him cook now. Let him cook. I said let him cook.
Welcome back to the Pit Press Live. My name's Ryan Tamori. Talking about the yesteryears of the demise of Lobo football. Hey, I'm always joined by Rick Thompson. Rick, always glad to have you on. There were some UNM men's basketball questions thrown in there. Okay, where do we go? Ronnie Chavez, I want to know your Lobo men's basketball all-time starting 5. I saw the question on Facebook the other day on a Lobo fan page. I think we will hit on that. Rick, I might start with that. I got to go to my guy.
Mr. Hutz, why are you burning all your personal papers?
As of this moment, Lionel Hutz no longer exists. Say hello to Miguel Sanchez.
Miguel, what's up tonight, man? I hope you're doing well. Starts with Mel Daniels and an argument on other 4 positions. That's probably right. Again, I'm not going to demean your opinion, Rick, or mine even. This would be definitely a good Ed Nunez talking. Maybe we can delve into it.
Yeah, we
more
might need to actually take some more time thinking about that and make it a full segment. That's a great question, though. But just to throw some names off the top as I'm thinking about it now, and this would not be my absolute 5, but obviously Kenny Thomas, Charles Smith. I don't know if Snell is in the top 5, but you have to consider him. Of course, Longley, and then Cooper. I know I don't know. There's a lot. You could name 10 right away and then kind of whittle it down to 5. So that's a great topic. I think we'll have to get the other guys and Ed, the true Lobo historian, since we weren't alive at the time of some of those guys.
I can picture Ed saying Mel Daniels, Phil Smith. I don't know. Maybe we build I know starters. Maybe we build our team. I would definitely say Kenny, Luke, and I know we're probably showing our age. I know Mel Daniels is in there. So Miguel Sanchez.
Miguel
I
Sanchez.
mean, Ruben Douglas is probably.
I mean, I don't know how. Like you look at UNM's history, and it's pretty. Again, I'd say it's a top 40 program of all time. But I don't know how the hell you do that with Kentucky or UCLA or Duke. I know this is going off the rails, Rick, but it's the first thing that popped in my head because I said Duke. Is JJ Redick or Jason Tatum the best Duke player to come out? Because they've always failed as professionals. I mean, Christian Leitner's kind of forgotten.
Well,
I don't know what a quick answer
the
on that.
best would have been Grant Hill. Would he have not been injured prior to Grant Hill's injury? People don't remember, or they've never seen. He was ridiculous. Was able to shoot from wherever he wanted, had explosiveness, could defend, was long. So I don't know if JJ Redick would be the greatest. You were just saying had the greatest NBA career out of a Duke player. I'd have to think about that more. But yeah, I mean, he'd had one of the longer ones. He never won a title though, and
I think it was because of the longevity, and
I mean,
he was a
Tatum seems
starter.
like he has the most, to look forward to here, with probably more shots at championships coming and being a true star. So I would say he will probably go down as the greatest Duke player with an NBA career.
He had 23 tonight, 6 and 5. That's pretty good. I'm going to read this very quickly because my dad's birthday was yesterday. He would have been 76. Dad, I know you are watching. I love you, big guy. You are my favorite. You are my all-time favorite Lobo footballer. I miss you. Thank you for telling me about the show. I mean, I guess if you read in the context, Eric Markham, thanks for saying that. I'm giving you a shout out there because my dad would have been 76 yesterday. My mom's in good health, so thank God. I want to get into this because it's big news and it does pertain to what we talk about. And we've talked a whole hell of a lot about NIL. Dan Murphy, Pete Thamel of ESPN, probably about 5 o'clock, 4:30 today, so not too long ago. The NCAA and Power 5 have agreed to a deal that would let schools pay players. I'm going to read the lead in this story, the first sentence. The NCAA and its 5 power conference. These guys are ESPN writers, by the way. Pete Thamel does a great job, but when he's on College Game Day or he's on TV, he looks like he has a massive pull up his ass. I'm not like criticizing him. He just looks like he's scared to be on TV. I respect him as a journalist. He's very powerful. I just get a kick out of when I see him on TV because you have Pat McAfee and Kirk Herbstreit and Lee Corso, and you go over to him and he's like, yeah, Nick Saban told me this. That's what he looks like. But anyway, the NCAA and its 5 power conferences, well, he's never going to come on the show. The NCAA and its 5 power conferences have agreed to allow schools to directly pay players for the first time in the 100 plus year of college sports. Basically what it is, there's going to be a multi-million-dollar agreement, and it's been settled in federal antitrust cases. The NCAA is going to pay more than $27 billion in damages over 10 years to past and current athletes. These are what sources told ESPN. Sources said the parties also have agreed to a revenue sharing plan, allowing each school to share up to roughly $20 million per year with its athletes. I think it's a great win. The thing is, the settlement terms must be approved by a judge who is presiding over 3 cases. It's House via the NCAA, Hubbard v. NCAA, and Carter v. NCAA. Rick, I know you follow this a little bit. Eric's like all about this shit. I'm not, I wish I would have went to business school. But the settlement terms, the process is expected to take a while, and sources have told ESPN that schools will likely begin sharing revenue in next fall, so 2025. The NCAA's board of governors and leaders from the NCAA, Big Ten, and Big 12, SEC, and Pac-12 voted to accept the general terms laid out in the 13-page document. What my key from that sentence is the ACC, Big 10, Big 12, SEC, and Pac 12. So I don't know if I guess the Mountain West is getting left out. I it it's a lot of money. I'm going to make my terrible joke. Oh, whoops. I got this on Instagram before we went live, Rick, and it was a college thing I follow, and it was Jeff Daniel, Harry and Lloyd. Oops, sorry about that. I'm mashing that on my keyboard. Great radio. It was a picture of Jeff Daniels and Jim Carrey with Harry and Lloyd and Dumb and Dumber. And when they spend all the money in the briefcase, they write IOUs and they put it in the briefcase. And it was the NCAA doing that. And of course, it made me think of it.
That's as good as money, sir. Those are IOUs.
God bless that movie. Rick, your thoughts on the players getting paid in that boatload of money?
Well, I think it's great that players starting in the year 2016 forward will get paid by a calculation, a formula that they're going to use on revenue distribution that'll be presented to each league over a 9-year period. And then the athletes will get paid out, I guess, 10% over a 10-year period of whatever amount that is. So it sounds like the other 27 conferences outside of those Power 4 leagues that you mentioned will be on the hook for 60% of those NCAA withheld distributions. So the schools will still be having to come up with, it sounds like, these initial payments themselves. So it kind of sounds like the monetary gap between these power conferences and the smaller schools that's fueled by football revenue, and the group of 5 conferences is just widening the gap further between schools like in the Mountain West and these Power 5 schools. But then I've also read some viewpoints that it could be a good thing for smaller schools because it kind of levels the playing field and doesn't allow the higher schools to pay these exuberant amounts for kids, and kind of allows these smaller kids to have a bigger chance, or smaller schools to have a bigger chance at more students and hopefully retaining them. It sounds like the NIL collectives will be going away, if I'm understanding this correctly, and the schools themselves will be handling the distribution of the money, because it sounds like they want to kind of weed out the third parties, which at this point in time is the NIL collective, which are usually working hand in hand with the athletic department anyway. So I would think those people will just probably shift into the athletic department. But those are the kind of things I'm pulling from it so far, is that it's just going to be an ever-changing landscape, but it's good for the athletes, and it sounds like good for schools, and it will somehow be putting a cap, though, on the amount of money that collectives or schools can pay players, if I'm understanding it. But lots of details still to be ironed out, and I'm sure we'll be talking about this a lot more coming forward. But will just be interesting to see how it changes the landscape here of how players get paid and how schools manage their money.
A source told ESPN, and I got to read this because I don't understand all of this. It's over my head. Berman said that this, I don't know who this guy is. The source told Chris Berman, the source told in a settlement letter, maybe it's attorney, a mechanism, and mechanism is in quotes, that he believes it will make it easier for schools to rein in the marketplace for third-party NIL deals. He declined to provide any further details. Several athletic directors told ESPN this week that they were optimistic but uncertain, and whether the settlement would give them enough legal room to regain control. I'm reading that because it sounds like there's still going to be third-party NIL. I read that too, Rick. I was like, I didn't.
Well, I think one good thing that whatever the outcome is that there'll be a universal law governing how this money is distributed and what the laws around NIL are, opposed to each state right now is, I think, kind of governing it themselves and the details, and when it comes down to the nitty gritty of how NIL works. So hopefully this will kind of smooth it out over time, but we shall see.
No, we shall see. Eric Malton, my business partner in this, and that always joins us, he is all about NIL. And I'm bringing that up because he's always the one who wants to talk about it, and it goes over my head. We've been grateful to have Mackenzie Bishop from 505 Sports Venture Foundation. We've had Kurt Roth on. He's a amigo of the show. Drew Herrig of 505 Sports Venture Foundation, who is a friend of mine, and I don't know if he works there anymore. I think he took another job elsewhere, but I don't know. Allegedly, according to LinkedIn, he's got to be still directly involved with 505 Sports Venture Foundation. We've talked to these guys. Kurt Ross, an awesome guy, and he bleeds Lobo basketball. I mean, he bleeds cherry and silver. And he's a New Yorker, so he's my kind of people. But I don't know what this does to them. I mean, it would be another interesting conversation to have with them. Again, you can find it on YouTube. We've had Mackenzie Bishop on 2 weeks ago, Rick. He would be give that a listen again. And then, we specifically talk about what happened with JT Toppin leaving. And then there have been reports, I didn't even mention that JT Toppin has signed with the University of Texas. I think it was a Texas Longhorn fan website that reported it. So that was thrown out there. We didn't mention that Tuesday night, did we?
No, I don't think he's taken his name out of the NBA draft eligibility yet up until the 29th of this month. And I think they're just rumors at this point that Texas is heavily courting him. So if he doesn't go to the NBA, maybe that's where he ends up.
Rodney Terry, former Fresno State head coach who took over for Chris Beard last year. Just throwing this random topics out, but imagine if Landry Jones would have stayed in New Mexico for UNM. Possibilities. Would have been nice. Look at Cole McCamey. He went here. And he had a pretty stellar career at UNM. He was awesome. Very quickly, NCAA Outdoor Championship, Lobos, Fayetteville, Arkansas. Brody Young secured a spot in Friday's 400-meter finals to open up things for UNM track and field on Wednesday. Before Habtum Samuel punched his ticket to the NCAA Outdoor Championships with the fastest time of the night in the 10,000 meter to close out day one at the regional preliminaries at John McDonnell Field at the University of Arkansas. Woo Pig Sooie. Brody Young ran a personal best and his sub 46 time of the year to finish second in the second heat and 12th overall in the first round of the men's 400 meter. His fastest time since last year's Mountain West Conference Outdoor Championship. Again, if they would advance, I think the first week of June in Oregon at Eugene at University of Oregon. So good luck to them. And then golf starts tomorrow. So we'll probably bring some of that to you guys next week. And again, see what they do. Maybe we'll talk about it earlier. And speaking of Eric, the small print in the settlement says that the NCAA 67 conference are on the hook for 60% of the damages payments, including the Mountain West Conference. Withholding future payments of NCAA tournament appearance is the biggest downside. Also, 85% of the payments are going to P5 athletes that never played in the Mountain West Conference. Well, I think it is a rich get richer and a poor get poorer thing. So there you go. Man, you got to talk to a lawyer, and maybe you'll get a on a toilet by a dinosaur. Bad joke. Big news today. Former Albuquerque Academy player is taking over as coach of the girls program. Josh Skarsgård is a former standout player at Albuquerque Academy. He was a teammate of James Borrego, who is one of the men who is interviewed for the current position for the Los Angeles Lakers coaching vacancy. Coached the Hornets in Charlotte. Skarsgård on Tuesday was named the head coach of the Academy girls basketball program. He's been a club coach at ABC Prep, friends of the show, Doris Gary, Brandon Mason. Check out Lobo Lane, Zach Lane. But this will be his first high school varsity coaching job. Of note, Skarsgård was one of the players who was involved in Academy's 6 state championships between 89 and 94. He won state as a sophomore in 94. I believe Greg Brown, who was the head coach of Volcano Vista, was on those teams. Rick, do you know anything about him? I know that was like 10 years later after we were at St. Pius. Not that we truly really care, but as two St. Pius alumni, you hear that, your kind of blood boils when Albuquerque.
It's always cool when somebody that played at the school, comes back to be the coach. I really like to see that. And it looks like former Lobo player from last season, Anaya Ogman, is going to join his staff there at Albuquerque Academy. She's going to be an assistant for the girls as well. And she just completed her career at UNM. So, she's probably looking to get some experience and probably move her way up for a head coaching rank down the road. So that's really cool that they're going to get a Division I player who just finished playing to come in and help coach. That never hurts, right? So sounds like a good get for the academy. I am not a fan of the academy being a St. Pius guy, but good for them. And I hope Coach Borrego does get the Lakers job. I think out of all the candidates, he makes the most sense.
Ryan Myers, he's the head coach at St. Pius. I don't know why your name isn't running for it, even though you live in the Bay Area. I would love if you were the head coach.
It's a lot of pressure, man. When I started high school, we had a coach, Wally Salata, who's now the coach at Rio Rancho High School boys basketball coach. He was the coach at St. Pius, and I believe he only lasted 2 or 3 years. It's a lot of pressure. People wouldn't really understand, I guess, if you haven't been in that situation with parents asking you why their kids aren't playing and complaints amongst other things. So, hope this guy does well at Academy, though.
I don't know how your parents were, Rick, but when I was playing baseball growing up and I played a little bit of basketball, my mom wanted me to be an offensive lineman. My mom was not my dad. My mom was the type of parent that was not like that. She was the why isn't my kid playing? She would tell me, I know why you're not playing, because you suck. So you met my mom, you know how she is. That's what she would tell me. Kind of wrapping this up. I know we normally never talk like isotope stuff or AAA ball. This show is predominantly UNM centric, but Manny Ramirez will be back in town at Isotopes Park. He will headline the Home Run Derby X participants at Isotopes Park. It's kind of a big deal. MLB legends Ian Desmond and Johnny Gomes, I wouldn't know if I'd call them legends, along with softball superstars Andrea Howard, Jocelyn Allo, Ashton Lansdale, and Alex Hugo, also among 3 participants. Event tickets on sale June 3rd. Rick, did you go with us when Manny was in town in 2009? I remember going with our buddies Lucas Gallegos, Nick Atencio. I'm trying to think who else I went with. I remember being with Luke and Nick. I don't know why that night, and I don't know how I remember that, but it was like the Beatles were in town when Manny Ramirez was at Isotopes Park. I don't know if you went to those games. I
remember the fanfare. I don't think I was lucky enough to attend, but anytime a minor league player gets sent down, I think player from the Rockies last week or 2, what's his name? Chris
Bryant.
He got sent down and my parents went just to see him. Right. So pretty cool. But tell me some details about this crazy, what is it? 3-on-3 baseball.
It's a Home Run Derby X. And I think they play as teams. One of the locations is Albuquerque. They don't hit from home plate. They hit from, why did I back up like that? They don't hit from home plate. They hit from somewhere in the infield and they hit directly into right field. So there's going to be a bunch, in the grass in right field, there's going to be, you can buy tickets and they're the most expensive. They're like $36. It's scheduled for Friday, August 23rd at Isotopes Park at 7:10, opens at 5:30. And if you don't know who Manny Ramirez is, here you go. A 12-time All-Star over his 19-year career. I remember him with the Indians. Belted 555 home runs, including 29 in the postseason, which is the most in MLB history. I did not know that. He's a Silver Slugger winner 9 times. Won the World Series in 2004 and 2007 with the Boston Red Sox. He was named the 2004 World Series MVP. Ramirez also played in 2 MLB rehab games with the Isotopes at Isotopes Park in 2009 with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Ian Desmond was on my fantasy baseball team like 4 years ago. He was pretty good in Colorado. I don't know who any of those softball players are. I apologize. There's no disrespect. If anybody knows who they are and you're watching now, which is probably a shot in the dark, feel free to comment. I will say this, just as I mentioned the 2004 Red Sox, I still think that from an X's and O's standpoint, not a political, socio-political aspect, I think the most important event probably winning on the field, I don't know if you can categorize it, is the Red Sox coming back and winning that series in the American League Championship Series against the Yankees when we were seniors in high school and going on to win the World Series and sweeping. They just got hot and they, for the next 8 games, beat the crap out of everybody, or beat the crap out of the Yankees and the Cardinals. I have had the pleasure of seeing some special teams play. 2 New York Mets teams that collapsed. Rick, you and I in 2009 at New Yankee Stadium saw a World Series matchup. We saw the Yankees play the Philadelphia Phillies, who were defending World Series champions. And I remember where we sat with our buddy Tim Chavez and I think his buddy Brad, the Seton Hall fighting Tim Chavez's.
And
Raul,
in that game, Mark Teixeira homered, A-Rod homered, and Jeter also homered. So for the one and only Yankee game I've been to, it was quite a day to see their big 3 all homer. And I wish I could have seen the old Yankee Stadium, but glad I got to see the new one.
No, it was super cool. I remember Raul Ibanez, and that's a really name that probably nobody knows. He was an older guy at the time with the Phillies, and I remember him homering like directly at us. I forgot all those guys homered. I guess I had one too many Yankee beers. And then I got to see the 2004 Red Sox in person at Angels Stadium. That was cool. I saw the 2019 Washington Nationals play at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia. And I saw the 98 Padres play, and then I saw 2 Mets teams that collapsed. So there you go. I'm going to go to the comments real quick. John Romero, Andrea, Mo Howard, greatest Lobo softball player ever. La Cueva Star won World Series championship as Little Leaguer and played for Italy in the last Olympics. Appreciate that. That's good to know. I didn't know those names. I meant no disrespect. There was something else I was going to say. Rick, do you have any final thoughts?
Just, I guess, a little other Lobo or Albuquerque high school prep news that I saw is Bella Hines, superstar basketball player, formerly of El Dorado High, will be playing her last high school season at ABC Prep. They've started a program for girls as well. I believe it's called the Lady Wolves. So that's great for her. My understanding is the competitive nature of basketball is that there's not the level that these kids are looking for in New Mexico, just consistent high competition basketball. So ABC Prep allows them to go and play schools outside of the state and get the competition they're looking for. So kind of sad that she's leaving like the true Albuquerque prep scene because people won't be able to see her, during her last run here, unless they're playing it in town at some type of ABC Prep tournaments. But that'll be cool for ABC Prep, kicking it off with probably the biggest women's name we've had around the state in a long time.
No, that's very cool. I just saw that I was on the Albuquerque Journal's website and I updated it, and they've got their Manny Ramirez story from the press release. I don't know why I Googled Sean Ryder. I guess I love Sean. I'll let him know that next time I see him. Looks like Air Force is up on Fresno 3-2. Please don't play. Yep, there it is. No, that's coming from the audio. 3-2 in the top of the 9th. That was on the Fresno State and Mountain West Conference baseball. In regards to Bella Hines, if you haven't checked it out, go to our YouTube channel. Nick Nunez and Ed Nunez do Road to the Pit. It's a high school basketball journey. They're probably going to talk some other sports. It's focused on high school sports. They started at the beginning of the year and ran through the state championship tournaments at the Pit, mostly talking about high school basketball in the state because of how much people love it here. So check that out. They did have an episode with Bella Hines. Maybe we'll repost that. But I think that's pretty fascinating that she's going there. I don't know why she would. I feel like it would be better to stay in El Dorado. I know what ABC Prep does. Um, I'm not trying to make any off the wall comments, but I guess that's the way of the world now. She can focus on that. She has committed to LSU. So Kim Mulkey, who's my favorite coach ever, maybe next to Coach Jason Brown. Yeah, check us out. We'll be back next Tuesday unless something happens here with UNM baseball. We'll keep you updated on UNM golf. Follow us on Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter, at the Pit Press NM. Visit us on Instagram at the Pit Press NM. I know we have a Facebook page out there. And then visit our website at the Pit Press. Check out the website, thepitpressnm.com. I need to fix that. Glad everybody that joined us commented. Appreciate it. We know we're getting into those dog days of summer very soon. We're going to try to keep you updated. Last week of May, Memorial Day is Monday. I did it last year. I'm going to try to recap spring games for all the Mountain West Conference teams. We had success doing that last year. We're looking to go to Mountain West Conference Football Media Days in July at Fabulous Circa in downtown Las Vegas, Nevada. Circa's great. Downtown Fremont Street, not so much. When I walked out of the door on the Fremont Street, it was like I was being baked with skunk weed. I don't know how to describe it. It was like 120 degrees. But I had a great time, and I got to go to Stadium Swim, which was awesome. Look for us to do that. Again, I'm looking to start my own show, talk national stuff, as opposed to just all Lobo stuff. But Rick, this is the second Thursday in a row we've held down the fort. I always appreciate you. It makes things easier for me because I don't think I could rip off that stuff. So I appreciate your notes. And I appreciate your insight. And I think you're better at this than I am. So thank you.
Richard. Well, thank you, man. I think we had a good show. Hopefully baseball team can keep it going for us to have something to talk about here. But golf, get it going, and we can start talking more Lobo basketball stuff. We'll have to think of some topics like our all-time Lobos and maybe project our starters for this year. And I think what I'd like to do moving closer to basketball is just really do a more in-depth roster breakdown and talk about each player and what we think their role will be on the basketball team this year. So plenty of time for that, but we can always talk about it whenever we want. So thanks everybody for listening, and we just appreciate it. And
No, we do appreciate it. And as I always mentioned, Eric came to me with this idea. I had just lost the radio show at 610. At the end of 2022, he came with me for this idea. I mentioned that again because we are nothing without our listeners. We've had show eclipse numbers, not tonight, not last week, and I didn't expect it at the end of May. And I don't expect it in June, but we've had shows eclipse, numbers that I didn't think we could do. So that really helps us with what we're trying to accomplish, talking to players. Again, I pursued print journalism. I pursued journalism. I'm not a TV guy. Even though I'm on camera right now, I went the print route. I have experience doing this. Somebody asked last Thursday, and I'll leave this on this note, why we didn't have players on. To me, it's very important to get a voice. If you go back on if you go back on our podcast, you can find us on Apple, Spotify, anywhere you can find a podcast. We have had coaches on like Nico Medved, Steve Alford has come on multiple times. We talked to Danny Gonzalez. Richard Pitino has been on the show. We talked to Isaac Mushila, Mustafa Amzil, Nelly Jr. Joseph last year. We had Nelly Jr. Joseph on like 2 days after he signed. And we pissed off UNM, but I feel it very, very pertinent to what we're doing here. That we get those players' voices. So this helps with us trying with the athletic department to get more players on. I'd love to have Richard Pitino on again. I'd love to have Bronco Mendenhall again. So with that said, the viewers that have watched and those that chime in, and now we've got I wish we had maybe more regular listeners. I know Rome wasn't built in a day. I appreciate the loyal listeners that we always have every night, and I try to get you engaged. I can't read every comment. But we appreciate everybody listening because we are nothing without you. So that's the moral of that long ramble there. Rick, again, great talking to you. We will come to you live next Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Hope to talk to everybody there. Everybody enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. Stay safe, stay happy. And trust me, do not drink and drive. Everybody have a great Memorial Day weekend.